My boots were still muddy when I stepped onto the overlook, heart pounding, shirt sticking to my back, and saw them already there. 3 men. None of them looked surprised to see me. One handed him a water bottle. The other stayed quiet, but they didn't need to say anything. Before we jump in, if you've been here before, take a second to like and subscribe. It helps more than you think, and if you're new, welcome. You picked a good one. Let's get into it. The sweat at the base of my neck had started to cool, sticking slightly to the edge of my collar as I pressed my boot into the final slope. Dry pin and needles shifted underfoot, not loud, just a faint crunch. I hadn't seen another hiker all morning. It felt like I had the whole ridge to myself, or so I thought. My shoulders ached from that back. My legs burned from the incline, but I was smiling. Anyway, calm, focused, grounded. This trail wasn't marked on most maps. That was the point. Knock roads, no music, no trail chatter, just quiet. Except the overlook wasn't empty. 3 men were already there. One sat on the broad stone slab, elbows on, his knees facing the valley below. Another leaned against a pine trunk, lazily passing a pine cone between his hands. The third, a little older, maybe early 50s, stood by the edge, back turned, looking out over the trees. No one flinched when I stepped into view. No surprise, no awkward glances. I paused, not afraid, just thrown off. I hadn't expected anyone. The air felt still. I didn't speak. The man near Thiege turned slowly. His face was sun-worn but calm, silver at his jaw, steady eyes. "We figured you might want company," he said, voice of inquiet. Then he reached out and held up a water bottle like he'd been planning to. I didn't answer. Just stepped forward and took it. The bottle was cool. My hand met the condensation where his fingers had been. I took a sip, steady. UNBOTHERED mint lingered at the top. When I lowered it, they were all watching. I didn't ask who they were. Didn't ask how they knew he'd be here. Didn't ask why none of them seemed surprised. He gave a single nod, then tilted his chin toward the smooth rock across from him. I walked over and sat. I sat with the view stretched wide. In front of me, legs extended, palms resting flat against the dry stone. A light breeze moved through the trees, carrying a faint mix of pine and dust. Behind me, I heard the soft shift off boots against rock. The man who'd handed me water took a seat nearby. Not close, not far, just there. I kept my eyes forward. I didn't speak. The other shouldn't move much. One leaned back into the tree trunk now, arms crossed, Gaza quiet. The third stood where he had, still facing the valley. No one seemed in a hurry. "You usually hike this trail alone?" the one beside me asked. His voice was calm, even. I nodded once. Most times hadn't respond right away, just watch at the view. After a pause, he reached head toward my collar slowly, like adjusting a tag. "You're in." "The sun," he said, has moved the edge of the fabric back into place, then let his hand fall away. Nothing more. The one at the tree spoke next. "You take the east trail?" I stepped forward as he asked, stopping a few paces ahead. Saw a set of prints by the stream bed. I nodded again. "Not a bad route," he added, longer but quieter. "That's the idea," I said. The man beside me gave a short exhale. Not quite a laugh. Worked, I guess. Just not how you pictured it. The stillness after wasn't tense, just present, like the forest had narrowed around us, waiting. Then the man by the overlook spoke without turning. "Want a picture?" I looked toward him. His arm was raised slightly, hand open, waiting. After a second, I passed him my phone. No words, just movement. He took it gently, then stepped back a few feet. "Lean forward a little," he said. "Light's better that way." I adjusted just slightly. While I from the shot, the man beside me reached once. More not to me, but toward a small twig that had caught on the shoulder seam. He flicked it away without comment. The shutter clicked. Let's try another. The one with the phone said, hold still, click. I waited as he checked the screen. The image loaded slowly. The overlook behind me, wind in the trees, sunlight crossing me face, a clear shot. Nothing staged. I didn't pose. I didn't move again. I just looked into the camera and held still, the expression I'd given the camera hadn't shifted much when the quietest of three approached. He moved at a measured pace, like someone arriving late to a conversation. Not to interrupt, just to be present. He received a hand and paused. There's something in your hair, he said, voice low, barely audible over the wind. Then, with a single motion, he removed a small left that had caught near the top. His hand dropped back to his side. That was all. Next to me, the first man adjusted his yet and lightly tapped the back of my hand with 2 fingers. I looked down. His palm stayed open, resting on the stone between us, steady. I didn't speak, just mirrored the gesture, flat hand to flat hand, then returned my eyes to the horizon. They were all watching, not urgently, just observant. I stayed still. The man who held the camera returned and placed the phone gently into my jacket pocket. His hand brushed the fabric as he released it, then fell away. He didn't speak. The zipper stayed untouched. Beside me, the seated man shifted his weight slightly, resting his elbow loosely across his knee. I followed suit, not in reaction, just in rhythm. The forest around us was quiet. Something about the air had changed. No one moved too quickly. No one spoke, but space between us had narrowed. Not in a way that enclosed me, just reorganized itself like they were making room. I didn't resist the new arrangement. I could feel my breathing now, steady, but more aware. The wind had softened, and the trees no longer swayed. Someone adjusted my hood, folding it neatly down behind Miss Holders. Another reached past me to retrieve a stray pine branch that had landed on the stone nearby. A third stepped closer, not near enough to crowd me, but enough that I noticed the shift in balance. No one said anything. It turned slightly, angling toward the man Woad first offered water. He met my ease. His expression remained neutral, his posture relaxed. I reached forward and placed my hand against his shoulder. A firm, centered contact, not symbolic, not exploratory, just clear. He inhaled, audible beat even, then raised his hand toward my opposite side and gestured gently toward the rock ledge. I understood and stepped up. The sun was dropping behind us. Thuan moved around us again, higher now, brushing against my sleeves. As I stood, I hadn't fully stood yet when they adjusted around me. One shifted behind, pausing near the slab's edge. Anotherm slightly closer at my side, high size on mine, not intense. Just aware, the third stepped forward, stopping just a few feet away, his hands resting loosely against his own arms. There were no instructions, no questions, just the quiet understanding that something had changed. I sat again, not because someone led me, but because the wind had faded, and the stone beneath felt still. One man reached down to roll his jacket into a cushion and placed it behind me without a word. I accepted it. The cold from earlier had gone. Another man adjusted my sleeve, lifting it back over my shoulder where it had slipped it slightly down. His touch was light, brief, functional. He returned to standing beside me, hands back in his pockets. The movement didn't linger. The one nearest me knelt briefly to clear scattered leaves from the flat surface beside where I sat. His eyes met mine, checking, not for permission, but for understanding. I gave a small nod. He returned to standing, quiet again. The man who'd first offered water rested one knee beside me, not touching, just deferring balance. As I repositioned, one hand braced the edge of the slab. I leaned slightly forward. My shirt shifted naturally with the motion. The light around us had turned gold. Everything looked outlined now. Trees, shoulders, the edge of someone's wrist. The air was dry. My breathing had changed, not faster, not slower, just deeper. None of them spoke. Their presence held steady, positioned like a frame around. Moment. One of them removed a glove. Shaking out a folded cloth from his back, he handed it to me gently, then stepped back. I didn't ask what it was for. I knew. I used it to wipe my forehead. The breeze picked up again and caught the edge of my shirt. Semyon reached to tuck it back down. A simple adjustment, careful and neutral. I nodded once in thanks. Someone else moved, slightly forward to kneel desolate rock. His expression was focused but soft. He gestured toward the horizon and said, "You're right at the highest point." I turned to look. The view stretched farther than I'd realized, light spilling over the ridgeline, shadows lengthening below. They circled around me slowly, not encroaching, just forming a loose triangle. None of them stood too close, but the shape of their presence felt intentional now, not just accidental positioning. It was quiet, contained, like something ceremonial. Got my eyes closed for a moment, not from pressure, just to listen. The wind shifted. One of them bent to adjust the jacket under my back, adding, a second layer folded from his own. Anatha reached behind me to steady the pack strap that had slipped down my side. Their actions were measured. No part often moved without my own initiation. No one reached for anything that was invisible. Someone extended a hand, palm up, open, waiting. I looked at it for a second, then placed mine there, not fold, not gripped, just resting. Hishin remained still. Another man knelt beside me again, gesturing toward the valley below. "See that clearing?" he hissed. "That's where the trail loops back." I nodded. The breeze tugged at the hem of my sleeve again. I smoothed it down. We didn't feel the silence. Their positions shifted once more. Onet on my left, one behind, one ahead. All seated now, balanced, present. No one dominating the space, no one retreating. I breathed in slowly, let it stay. No words were spoken for several.